And Tokyo Brandon joining us with 2 baseball plays. Shout out to Teddy for winning his 5% play. Shout out to Carm for his. Let's get going. Carmine, thank you for being with us, my brother, and congratulations on an outstanding night for your clients.
Yeah, I was pretty happy about it. 4-0 last night in the NHL. Anyone who bought the 5% play, I told them to check the analysis. I was going to give them the other plays I had in the NHL last night. So they picked up 12 units in winners. So I'm pretty happy about that as we head to the playoffs.
Man, I'll tell you, your sorry, Teddy, to jump in. Carm, your run in the NHL over the last few months has been outstanding. Just amazing to watch. And yesterday you came on the show. You gave out that Austin Matthews prop of 4.5 shots to the over. I literally forced you to come on today because, well, we give out winning info and not many are winning as often as you right now. So let's get straight into it. The Toronto Maple Leafs against Tampa Bay tonight in a game that I'm fascinated about. Kucherov needs to get 1 more assist for 100. Matthews needs 1 more goal for 70. I think they both get it. And I'll tell you why after your thoughts. How are we handicapping this game?
So I'm going to touch on the Leafs and the Bruins in a second, but I want to talk about this game here. I think before you bet this game, you need to see what the Leafs are going to do as far as Austin Matthews is. And I know the thinking is Austin Matthews needs to play tonight, needs to get to 70 goals. It's a personal accomplishment and one the team would love to do, but they tried as much as they could last night. They couldn't get him, and they get Tampa Bay tonight in a meaningless game. But if you look at the market in this game, we did Puck Time this morning, and when we went to air on Puck Time, the line was 125. It is now at 145, some places 150 on the WagerTalk live lines on Tampa Bay. The market is moving to Tampa Bay, and that might be maybe there is some info already out. I can't find any on Austin Matthews. The last couple seasons, they rested him down the stretch 1 or 2 games. I get it. 70 is a big number, but the bigger picture here is Saturday against the Boston Bruins. The goalies tonight should be Martin Jones for Toronto. He's listed as expected. It is Matt Tompkins in goal for Tampa Bay, looking for his first home win, and he could be the backup to Vasilevsky because their backup goalie Johansson is injured, so he very well could be the backup goalie, and he hasn't been bad of late on this season. So it's a drop off, but not a big drop off. I just don't. I think if Matthews plays, first they try and get him to go in the first period. If he scores, they manage his minutes. He probably plays like 12 minutes the rest of the way. The play here, I think the better play here is we're going to see some goals in this one. I think with Martin Jones in goal, we haven't seen him in a while. He started very well for the Leafs. And then he just became, I don't want to call him a pylon, but he just became an afterthought with Joseph Woll and Samsonov. The over this year in first periods in Tampa Bay is 27, 12, and 1 in the first period. And those are totals that are normally juiced at 160 to 180. It's 140 in this game. And Lawrence, you talked about the fact that Kucherov in the assist. I think Tampa wants to get this out of the way early. I think Toronto wants to get out of the way early. We might see some goals here. 27, 12, and 1. And that 1, obviously the push was a game that was lined at 2 for the first period total. So really 28 of 40 have gone over the total. And at minus 140, that seems like while it seems kind of viggy using that word, I don't think it is priced as high as it should be. So I'll take over 1.5 goals in the first period, minus 140.
Carm, yesterday you gave out that prop bet. I said I loved it. I love this play as well. I think we're going to see a big score in this game. I'm passing for my clients in NHL tonight, but my favorite play on the board is the over in this game. And man, I thought to myself, Keefe called Cooper, and they're like, let's just get this over with. I'll give you Kucherov's assist. You give me Matthews' goal. We take them both off the ice, and we move on. And
shake hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, listen,
and I'm with you.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, shake hands, agree to something. It's a meaningless game for both teams. You don't move up, you don't move down the standings. The bigger picture is this weekend. But with that in mind, I want to say something. I talked about on Puck Time yesterday about taking the Ottawa Senators at plus 180 yesterday in Boston, because I was of the fact that I have two trains of thought. The normal guy who sits here and runs the numbers, and then the guy who's a fan who I know tanking doesn't exist, but the Boston Bruins, I said, would tank last night's game. They had 3 shots in the first period. Marchand took back-to-back penalties trying to get Ottawa power plays. Ottawa eventually wins that game, I think 2-1 or 3-1. And Boston ends up dropping from first seed in the Atlantic to the number 2 seed and play the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is they think is a much more favorable matchup than it is of them playing Tampa in the first round. And I'm here to tell you, be careful what you wish for, because it comes back to bite you in the ass. And that series price is 125 for Boston, plus 105 for the Leafs. And Toronto would have lost to Florida. Florida's a much more balanced team. But Boston's a better coach team, but Toronto has more talent throughout their lineup. And if they can put that bulletin board material up there that these guys wanted us, let's go out and beat them. I'm telling you, it wouldn't surprise me, and the Bruins fans are going to hate me for this. It wouldn't surprise me if the Leafs beat the Boston Bruins finally get over that hump and beat the Boston Bruins in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Bruins made a grave mistake. So Teddy has already lectured me. We're 7 minutes in. He hasn't said a word, and that is my fault. At Teddy's big game breakdown, you're going to be doing the other NBA game. I buried the lead. Give me shit and then get to the next game, Teddy. I can take it. I can handle it.
No reason to give you shit, Lawrence. Let's move on to the next
privately?
game.
Don't get
sure.
You could give me shit publicly, dude. The listeners love hearing the curmudgeon give me shit.
In that case, you've been doing the show for 4 years. Recognize that you need to introduce your co-host, okay, at some point in the first 7 minutes of the show, and recognize that the lead tonight is 2 NBA play-in games, not, we're going to talk some NBA. We got 2 playoff games tonight in the NBA. That's the lead. That's all I was saying. These are things, Lawrence, that a host that actually knew what they were doing wouldn't even have to think about. But you and I have been doing shows together since 2007, and you still haven't figured it out. Well done, my friend. Now, let's talk some Champions League soccer. Yeah, you wanted it on air? You got it on air, buddy. Let's talk Champions League. Noon Pacific time, 3 Eastern today. Real Madrid, big underdogs against Man City. I'm seeing Man City, minus 170, plus 400, plus 425 on Real Madrid, plus 350 with the draw. Total here sitting 3.25/3 to the over. What do you want to do with Real Madrid and Man City, UEFA soccer today?
Congratulations on your 5% play, Teddy, and thank you for giving it to the Prez. I'm going to make this quick. This is actually a client play of mine. I released City to my clients at minus 154. The line has gone up. These two teams played in Madrid in Leg 1. The game finishes 3-3. It wasn't a game that these two teams would normally play. Normally, Leg 1 games, teams don't want to head back home or head on the road with a result that's unmanageable. But this clearly favors Man City. They're a very good team at home. Top and bottom, they are better. They get some of their defensive players back. And I think it's going to be a lower scoring game because neither team needs to force the play here. City's a high possession team. I just think the right play is here at City. I knew this line would steam, and it has. At 170, 180, you start to talk about maybe lessening the percentage on the game. I have it at 3% for clients at 154. I'm comfortable with that price. I'm comfortable to about 165, 170. I'm not comfortable with anything higher than that. But City favorites to win this elite European tournament, and I think they win today. So City for me.
Carmine, thanks, brother. Listen, as I spoke to you about last night, I am now a City fan. Yes, I picked the best team maybe ever assembled club-wise. So that's a little bit pathetic. but I did watch the City documentary, and I'm enamored with Pep Guadalajara. I think he's the greatest coach I've ever seen in my life across all sports. And he maybe is. So I'm with you, man. Go City. I'm going to be watching that game. It'll be the first Champions League game I've ever watched in my life. What do you got to promote,
It's
bro?
It's Pep Guardiola. Guadalajara is a place in Mexico. Just letting you know, but it's Pep. I get it. You get it right. You call it Champions League, Championship League, but it's good. It's Champions League. Guys, 2 plays up in Champions League. You already got one of them. 3 plays up in the NHL that I really like. Let's see if we can build off of last night's very good night. Pick up a 1-day all access, or our office staff has extended the 188 special, so you can get the rest of the NHL season, which is a couple of days, of course, and all of the playoffs for 188. And I think you get 7 extra days on top of that, the bonus pack. So head over to WagerTalk and take advantage of that. Guys, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us, Carmine. Steve Merril still to come. Tokyo Brandon as well. Natural 8 writes, Prez, I thought you were going to dress up a little more. I'm going to dress up a little more. I forgot Natural 8. But I will dress up a little more moving forward. Teddy, so we're going to get to what did bettors learn, but I just want to make a couple of statements. So my clients last night had another winning night. There we go again, 6 of 7, 10 of 12, 10 of 12, yes. But more importantly, my NHL play last night was the Vancouver Canucks. And if you read my analysis, I literally said they were going to win 4-1. This is the second time in 2 weeks I've actually predicted the exact score of a game. Why am I telling you all this? Because I know NHL as well as Teddy knows NBA. And yesterday I told you guys we have a promo up for the 2 of us, and it is up now. We've had a few people take advantage of that. Thank you. But I really think everybody should take advantage of this promotion. Teddy's NBA playoffs, my NHL playoffs, $175 each. This goes till mid-June. This is a great deal from 2 of the best. And Teddy's seeing his NBA incredibly. I'm seeing the NHL incredibly. Head over to either of our pages and grab that promotion, because I think you're going to make a ton of money, Teddy.
Yeah, I think so too. There's certainly that potential.
Yes, Teddy. Now,
Lawrence?
okay. So we've done this show a million times. Normally when blah, 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 blah. You want me to talk about Bitcoin? What did bettors learn last night?
There you go. You preempted my what bettors learn, where I was supposed to hype the package, and instead you just hyped the package. I'm sitting there going, what am I supposed to say? Did you look at the show notes, Lawrence, before the show started?
It says watch Teddy sell. I didn't know what you were going to sell. What do you think I'm going to sell? I'm going to sell the package that we promoted, that we put together for today. No, Lawrence, you just didn't. You just literally jumped in front of right before what I was supposed to do, did a sales pitch that might have been 1% of what I was going to do, and now my what bettors learn is shot. So no.
What should we do?
Dan, rewind the show, Dan. I want to hear Teddy's sales pitch. Teddy never does a sales pitch. I'm so sorry.
That's the whole.
Oh my God! Please do it. I'm begging you to do it. Just do a little one, a mini version.
All right, this is what I wrote up. All right, so I don't hype. I don't hype enough. Prez hypes like crazy. I'm just not wired that way. But today I got to hype. I'm zoned in pretty good right now across sports. Let's call this the Teddy Covers Infomercial for just a moment. 3-0 over the last 2 days. Good. 57 and 27, 68% over the last 5 weeks, plus 81 units across sports. Again, that's 68% counting every play, every day, and every sport over the last 5 weeks. Since November, 216 and 153, above 58%, plus 120 units on nearly 400 plays. The NBA, 18 and 8 with the last 26, 98 and 66, 60% in the NBA, counting every play, every day since November. Since 2022, my NBA is 295 and 210, 58%, up 215 units of profit. My MLB, 21 and 9, 70%, up 33 units in my last 31 plays. NBA playoffs the last 2 years, 55 and 35, better than 60%. 5% big ticket plays, 4 and 1, 80% run, 76 and 47, 62% since 2021, 67% in the NBA since 2021. Look, slow and steady wins this race. Get a 30-day all access. Get a Teddy and the Prez playoff package, the best deal going right now. My entire NBA postseason, Lawrence's entire NHL postseason. Win or lose, you know I'm trying. You know I give a shit. Check it out. WT.buzz/TC. There's my infomercial. Get on board. Lawrence?
Okay,
numbers,
so before we bring
we're not trying to
Steve
say we're
Merril in-
hot. We're trying to bring hard numbers to the equation. So that's the goal here.
Okay, Teddy, I thought that was spectacular. Listen, before we bring Steve Merril in, people are talking Bitcoin, and there you are. Well, you can listen to this, Steve. I think Bitcoin is a huge buy right now, everybody. I know it plummeted overnight about $4,000. It's actually done that almost every night for the last week. It gets up to 64. You go to sleep, it's down to 61. I think we have an opportunity in front of us. And for all the people who don't know when to come in to buy Bitcoin, I'm not going to tell you that it won't continue to go down over the next week. It might, but I think we have a buy opportunity on Bitcoin. I think we're going to see, 80 by October, maybe even higher. I have no problem if you want to wait a bit, but I wouldn't wait much longer. And as for gold, as I told you guys a couple of months ago, gold was a huge opportunity. I don't know if it still is. I would prefer Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think they're both in a situation where you should feel comfortable buying. Steve Merril joining us. Anything to add to that, my friend?
Yeah, I have no clue where Bitcoin is going. I've never had a fundamental handle for it. It's been pure price action for me. It was 71,000 6 days ago. Now it's 61,000. I mean, that just puts in perspective the volatility. But Prez, you did mention one interesting thing there, how these moves are happening overnight. And keep in mind, the huge move happened Saturday afternoon around 4 o'clock Eastern on this past weekend. And the big point there is that the future markets are closed at 5 p.m. Eastern on Friday. They don't reopen until 6 p.m. Sunday night. So I think we see a lot of finagling happen over the weekends. We've seen that for years. In fact, when we had the big plunge in June of 22, it was over the weekend into Monday morning. We saw that also a couple of years ago when it got down to those 20s. Remember, you and I we were slacking one time on a Saturday afternoon. Remember a couple of years ago, and it was dropping down to like 16,000. So it's not a coincidence that these happen when the future markets are closed, because I think what's a lot of people are doing is they're putting the trades in end of week, and then they're moving the cash market over the weekend. And then, of course, the ETFs, the future markets have to reopen Sunday and Monday at a different price. So, yeah, this is just pure trading. I do think, obviously, there's some long-term value because it was at a couple $100 years ago. Now it's at 70, 60, 70,000. But keep in mind, you're going against some very sharp traders that are definitely finagling things.
Yeah, and finagling is the word, Steve. Sorry, Teddy. And I know this shit doesn't interest you, but it does other people. You know what's going on in the Bitcoin market is ultimately the big boys, whether it's Street, BlackRock, MicroStrategy, they might unload a couple, here and there. They're unloading. This is a head fake. And ultimately what they do is they create panic in the retail market. People who don't have the stomach to withstand the ups and downs start selling. People put in sell orders at specific numbers. And as they start to sell, the big boys are like, finally, some liquidity. Let's buy them all up. And that's ultimately what's going on. We saw this 4 weeks ago when Bitcoin went up to 73, or 5 weeks ago, and then dropped back down to 71. There's very little liquidity in the marketplace. 80% of all Bitcoin has not been sold in yours. That's only 20% available to buy. places like MicroStrategy and Street and BlackRock, they can't get their hands on Bitcoin because there's no liquidity. In order to create that liquidity, they put a panic into the marketplace. Retail sellers who can't stomach it sell, they buy it back up, and up it goes. Steve, let's get into some actionable information. We're talking NBA. We got a big game tonight, the Hawks and the Bulls. How do we bet this?
Yeah, first of all, I want to remind all the viewers that we have a show here, NBA tip-off show. I believe Andy and Lang and Rob Vino did it this morning. That's up on the channel right now. I'll be back this evening at 4:15 Eastern for the live version with Brian Power. So tons of NBA playoff actionable info on a daily basis. Teddy, of course, is doing his opening line report. I know he's going to be focusing a lot on the NBA the next couple months in that. And, oh, by the way, I'm doing a daily NBA video as well for every day of the playoffs. I did one yesterday. Did one again for both games. That's on the channel right now. So just another reason to subscribe and hit the bell here on WagerTalk TV for all that great content for the NBA playoffs. I thought this game was interesting to talk about. These play-in games, I think, are very random. Kind of like the NCAA tournament. You know, they're one and dones. We get to the playoffs starting on Saturday. It's a 7-game series. The cream usually rises to the top. But as we see in the NCAA tournament, a one-and-done scenario, random things can happen, especially in the three-point heavy era of basketball that we live in. Sacramento Kings, red hot from 3 last night. They pull the upset at home. Zion gets injured in that Lakers game. You know, now the Pelicans might be in some trouble against the Kings on Friday. Funny things can happen in one-and-done scenarios. Philly and Miami, a very interesting matchup tonight. Philly, the 7 seed, they had a 3-way tie for the 5th, 6th, and 7th spot, so they could have easily been out of the play-in round. If Joel Embiid misses just one last game over the 2-month period, he's out. They're not in the play-in round, so they're a very dangerous team against Miami. But the real bottom feeder game of the 4 yesterday and today is this Bulls-Hawks game. Both teams are below 500. And the reason I point that out is because we have seen high quality games, playoff intensity games have lower scoring results. And we saw both games go under yesterday on Tuesday. Despite heavy money moves, 4 to 5 point moves to the under, they both stayed well under the total. We also have a primetime matchup with the Heat and Sixers. But the one bottom feeder game is this, Hawks and Bulls. And what's interesting, this is the only game in which we've seen the early line go higher from the opener. It opened around 219.5. It's now up to 222. In fact, when I sent it over last night and did my video last night for the 2 games, it was 221.5. Now it's 222.5. Some of the sharper books are now up to 223. So I think this is the game in which the over works. Hawks are a horrendous defensive team. They just can't change their ways. They're not going to win with defense. They have to score with Trae Young back in the lineup. And I think the Bulls will play that way as well. And just using some raw numbers from the regular season, I could easily make the line in the 230 range. So, yes, I do bump it a bit for playoff basketball. I don't bump it 10 to 12 points. So that opening line of 219 was weak, and the market has shown that, and the sharp books are already pounding the over in this one.
So, I mean, these two teams played just a couple of weeks ago in Chicago, very similar point spread range. Total in that game was 221 and stayed under. 113-101 final. So we have at least recent history between these two teams showing that Atlanta played some defense and the over wasn't the way to go. Now that it's playoff intensity, why do you think that changes?
Yeah, it's 2 ways to look at that. I don't know if Atlanta played defense or Chicago just didn't play offense. And I think it was more of the latter. The Bulls were just 39.5% shooting at home. Find it hard to believe that's going to happen again tonight against an Atlanta team that routinely gives up 50% or more. I just don't think the Hawks necessarily fixed anything. And keep in mind, that game had 114 points at halftime. So that was a pace for, 220 plus there in that game on April 1st. Chicago was just 7 for 28, 25% from 3-point range. So I think that was more of an anomaly offensively. And the other thing I'll point out, Ted, is that total was 19 points lower than when they played February 12th. The February 12th total was 240. That was the closing total. It got to 262. Teams played on December 26th. Before that, the total was 235.5, got to 231. So, yeah, I just think this total has been adjusted down too low. And it's a good point you raise. That most recent meeting staying under definitely helped the cause here. But the early money, the sharp money, in my opinion, has definitely been pounding the over.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. Steve, before we get into your next game, one of our YouTube short listeners, SOS Enterprise, he asks, what do you guys think of the Giants versus the Marlins? Now, I'm catching you both off guard, but either you or Teddy have an opinion on this game. Teddy?
The game already started. I did not have a strong take. All the sharp money came for Miami in early betting action this morning. There was a big sharp move for the Marlins, but it wasn't a game that I came close to playing after San Fran blew that lead yesterday. The initial lead might have been Giants, but I didn't get there. But it's already, I mean, we're in the bottom of the first already.
Okay, so let's talk Angels and Rays. Steve, where are you going in this one?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the Marlins are a fascinating team, by the way, going back to that last game, because they made the playoffs last year. They were a play-on team for me. They obviously look awful this season. I think the Giants could be a play-against team as well. So two real bottom feeders in that early daytime game. And there are a lot of daytime games here. The majority of the games are afternoon games here on Wednesday. So be sure to check out MLB First Pitch. We had a morning edition. Dan Alexander and I will be back live at 2 o'clock Eastern to talk about the late afternoon games and also the nighttime games. So once again, if you have any questions, viewers, chime in on the 2 o'clock Eastern live show. We will hammer out all those daytime games that remain. I wanted to look at one of the nighttime games here at 6:50 Eastern. Some weird start times in baseball, man. 6:50 Eastern, man. We can't start at 7. Won't get home in time. 6:50 Eastern for the 10 people that go to the games in Tampa Bay. Tampa's another team that maybe we got to be careful with. You know, the Astros are obviously off to a very slow start this year. Tampa's been a powerhouse in recent years. They're just 10-8 here. Angels 8-9 actually might be a good start after losing Ohtani. You know, a lot of people thought they wouldn't show this year. One thing that jumps out to me, though, is both offenses have been suspect at times this season. And you look at the bullpen, though, for the Rays, just like the Houston Astros, who have been underachieving, the Rays bullpen has been awful, and that's been a strength for them over the years. 6.3 ERA this season. Angels, meanwhile, a 4.8, very mediocre. So the question becomes kind of like with Houston, does Tampa turn the corner, or are they maybe on the bottom half of their, you know, long run that they've had for several years? Those bullpen numbers are very concerning. I think the Angels could be a live dog in this game at plus 105, and I need to see more from Tampa before I'm going to start backing them anytime soon.
Well, let's talk about early bullpens. You know, when it comes to the first couple of weeks of the season, right now, when you look at bullpen stats, how much do you take away as randomness and how much you take away as, hey, this bullpen is really good, this bullpen is really bad? When it comes to, what do we got, about 2 weeks worth of stats, 2.5 weeks worth of stats for these pens? Are we making full season opinions about the state of these bullpens based on the first 10, 15% of the season?
Definitely not. It's an excellent point because it's a very small sample size, and where bullpen data is tricky is that you're not getting the same relievers every game. In fact, you really, for the most part, have no clue who's going to pitch in a game. You know, you could sometimes know who's not going to pitch, right? If a reliever's maybe pitched back-to-back nights, you could take him out of the equation. And if it's one of the better relievers, I think that's something worth doing. If it's one of the weaker relievers, I'm not sure it helps your handicap much. But yeah, I'm not going to read too much into it, but Houston's another good example. You know, Houston's got a 5.7 ERA. They brought it down slightly for the season, but they're still 6-13 straight up. So I think we have to be extra careful with teams like Houston and Tampa, who have really, in my opinion, had very good runs the last several years, almost a decade now, because of the strong bullpens. With Houston, for example, there's no question. I mean, that World Series a couple years ago, I thought was mostly bullpen. So it's a huge red flag for me when teams like that rely on the bullpen are having bad starts. Doesn't mean it's going to continue. Doesn't mean they're automatic fades, but it's very tough for me to back those teams until I see otherwise.
Well, got a cough there.
Right
Steve,
there,
I think I'm getting a cold.
Teddy would hate for you not to be all right and lose your voice. I mean, so we got to take care of that now. I got the gray shirt on. All I need to do is put the headset on and nobody would notice it's not the Prez. So we could just.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. We have the exact same personality. Steve Merril, what do you got to promote?
NBA playoffs are here. Pay attention. I love the NBA playoffs. I've said this for decades. If I was on a desert island and I had to pick one sport to handicap for a couple months, the NBA playoffs have probably been the most reliable, consistent moneymaker since I started in the mid-'90s. Things have changed. Teddy will tell you the zigzag isn't a blind play, but the modified zigzag still works, and there's situational analysis I use that continue to work year after year, decade after decade. I love the NBA playoffs. And oh, by the way, I do pretty well in the NBA in general. Last year, all NBA was 103-63, including 29-17 in the playoffs. Number one all time at WagerTalk Units 1 in the NBA, and also number one this year, Units 1 in the NBA. So not a bad time to get on board. And if you like baseball as well, consider one of those all sports, all access packages. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And don't forget the free plays. I post free plays every day to help you build your bankroll as well. Available right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Thanks for joining us, Steve. Shout out to Austin Garsha. He's a new subscriber and wrote on YouTube Shorts, "Let's make some money, boys." That is the plan. It's the plan every single day. And again, may I suggest the promotion that we're offering, Teddy's NBA playoffs and my NHL playoffs. And yes, you're going to hear me talk about this every single day. Teddy covers. You have a child. I have a child. My firstborn her name's Madison. It's her birthday today. She's 23 years old. I feel like it's my birthday. Today is the day 23 years ago that I became a father. Man, am I freaking old. Let's get to your big game breakdown.
Big game breakdown. Let's talk NBA playoff action for Wednesday night. And we'll go to the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Right now, look at the WagerTalk Live odds screen. Mostly -5s for the 76ers. There are a couple of 5.5s that have popped up. 208, 208.5, the total. And I want to start with a thought process about my play last night. I had the Lakers last night. Why did I have the Lakers last night? Only for one reason. Because I watch NBA night after night all year long. And I saw something a couple of weeks ago in New Orleans. Something was wrong. Something didn't click. They were out of sync. It's not in any stat. It's not in any quote. It's something that I saw while watching these games. And obviously, I watch a lot of NBA, so you notice things. My mental thing was fade New Orleans at home until proven otherwise. And we've cashed multiple tickets doing just that, including one last night. I have no stats for this other than Philadelphia is 6-0 straight up in ATS with Embiid with Embiid starting in April. I understand how good playoff Jimmy has been and how much money Miami has made for me in games like this, in point spread ranges like this, in every recent season. Basically, since Jimmy got there, this is Miami's role. But I've watched these two teams all year. I've watched them play each other. And my take is that the Heat just don't match up well with the 76ers. There's no answer for Embiid. All right, we love Bam Adebayo. We don't love him against Joel Embiid. Philly's faster. Maxey is arguably as underrated as any player in the league. Tobias Harris is useless, but he can defend Jimmy and give him problems. Miami's still trying to acclimate Tyler Hero back in the lineup. They're not going to have Terry Rozier tonight. That's a big loss for them. Duncan Robinson could kill this bet single-handedly. Miami's a team I hate to bet against in this point spread range. They've been so good for me in this range over the years. And yet, the only way I can go in this game, Philly minus the points. That's the lean. That said, it's just a lean. The real bet is on the other game. Check out WagerTalk.com for all your analysis. Thanks for watching. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. Let's keep this show moving. Tokyo Brandon joining us. Nice to have you, my friend. What time is it?
It's 1:30 in the morning. But hey, here's a fun fact. Your daughter and my son have the same birthday. My son just turned 25.
Oh, fun fact. I hope they never date.
Yeah, let's hope so. He's a nice kid.
No, I'm only kidding with you. My daughter actually has the most incredible boyfriend ever. They've been together forever. I call him my son-in-law. He lives in our house. I've made it very clear that if they break up, we get him. She can go. He's a specimen, dude. 6'6" in the Army, offered special forces opportunity. Yes, Teddy, Canada does have special forces. He did turn it down. But yeah, dude, I want his bloodline. Athletic, smart, entrepreneurial. Couldn't be happier about the choice my eldest daughter has made. We'll move on from my youngest.
Mounties in Canada, from what I hear.
What?
They're called Mounties in Canada, aren't they?
No. Oh God.
Okay.
Okay, Cubs, Diamondbacks. Let's go.
Okay. I've had some success doing these strikeout props, so I'm going back to them. My unders are killing it. Made me number one in MLB in the last 30 days. And so we're going back to a pitcher whose name I have several ways to pronounce, but I like to say Pfaadt. Some people say Pfaadt. I don't know how to say his name, but I'm going to call him Pfaadt. So Brandon Pfaadt takes on the Cubs today, and his strikeout prop is 6.5. And if you look back to how he's faced the Cubs in the past, he's never hit 7 strikeouts against them in 2 starts last season. And also, he's about a 9-for-9 guy. I like to look at how often the teams strike out and how often the pitcher strikes out. His K9 rate hovering right around 9, and the Cubs are hovering right around 9 as well. So if you do the math, to get 7 Ks, he'd probably have to pitch 7 innings, and I don't think he's capable of pitching 7 innings against a team that he has a career batting average against of over 300. So Brandon Pfaadt under 6.5 strikeouts is the prop I like today. I have a 4 MLB play package today, and I'm giving 2 of the plays out here today, and that's one of them, a client play, Brandon Pfaadt under 6.5 strike.
So Tokyo, we got another question come in from the YouTube Shorts chat room. Firstly, Chris Salzar mentions happy birthday to my daughter. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. He wants to know, do we go, and Teddy, feel free to wade in here. Do we take that game over Diamondbacks and Cubs? Or no, does Diamondbacks over the Cubs? That's what he wanted to know. Do we bet the Diamondbacks here?
You asking Teddy or asking me?
You first, then Teddy. Then Teddy can do his follow up.
My lean was Chicago, and I decided not to pull the trigger. Neither team has anything resembling a bullpen left today.
We've got 2 pitchers who are not very stable. We got 2 bullpens that are not performing well. So the game over, I think, would be a more reliable play than either one of the sides. I would take the Diamondbacks over the Cubs. Maybe. No, I wouldn't. I take an over before I take a side in this one.
And the Chase roof is open today, which is good for balls carrying. Didn't work with the over that I tried last week in MLB with Arizona. Nonetheless, what we see 12-11 last night. And I want to ask you this, because last night's game was so insane. It was as epic as a game that we've seen all year in MLB. Isn't like everyone going to be a little tired today? Might there be more strikeouts because last night's game? And with both bullpens getting used up, might the starters get pushed out a little bit longer? Then we might see Pfaadt be in the game an extra few batters that he might not have played if the bullpen was fresher. Does any of that concern you?
It doesn't concern me, no, because he's generally going to pitch 5 or 6 innings. And like I said earlier, he's a 9-for-9 guy. Cubs are about a 9-for-9. When I say 9-for-9, I mean, I'm talking about the K rate. So you can count on 1 strikeout per inning. I don't see any reason why he would go above that. Pfaadt's really struggling this season compared to last season. His ERA is over 6. Granted, it's a small sample size, but like I said, I don't think he's going to go 7 innings, and I think he would have to go 7 innings to get 7 Ks in this one. Hey, this is gambling. Anything can happen. We're here predicting the future. So, I'm not Nostradamus, but pretty close. I mean, pretty close.
Tokyo Damas. Teddy, a tired baseball player. That's funny, dude. Like, I can't come up with another sport where you stand still for longer. I was thinking golf, but at least they walk around. I mean, a tired baseball player? What? These guys play hockey all night, go into overtime, and the next day they play again. And these dudes stand around. Oh, I hope they hit the ball to me this time. Okay.
So this is what I want you to do, Lawrence. Every 20 minutes, stand up in the same place for 20 minutes. And then take 20 minutes off, go sit back down in the dugout, then do it again. And do that for 11. I'll do that 11 times and see how you feel at the end.
11 squats over 2.5 hours?
No.
Sounds so hard.
You stand there. You stand there for 20 minutes.
We got another question. We got another question from YouTube Shorts. The line has moved to 5.5. Would you still take the under, Tokyo?
5.5. Not so sure I'd take that because, again, when we go to the 9 for 9, as I'd like to calculate this, and Chicago is right at a 9 for 9. And actually, if you look back last year, he did get 6 Ks in one start against the Cubs. So probably wouldn't do 5.5.
Okay, let's get to the next game. Cardinals, A's. You got a prop bet for us on Paul Blackburn.
Yes. Burn it till it's black. Paul Blackburn. Love Paul Blackburn. The A's get a lot of flack because they're a bad team and they're playing in a city that doesn't want them. But they do have some decent pitching. Blackburn's one of them. Doesn't get a lot of credit because of where he's pitching. But if you take a deeper look at Paul Blackburn and what he's doing, really good pitcher actually, and he has a decent history against the Cardinals, although it's a small limited history, but this is a prop that I'm going to take, which is not a strikeout prop, but it's an outs prop. So I get asked a lot what's the outs prop. Basically, 1 inning is 3 outs recorded. So if you finish 5 innings, that's 15 outs, and if you finish 6 innings, that's 18 outs. If you look at Paul Blackburn's starts, especially this season, he's going very long, 7 innings, 6 innings, 6.1 innings. And these are against teams that can actually hit the ball quite well. Washington, Detroit. I know they don't get a lot of credit for being good teams, but Washington is a great team to take the team total over because they'll hit it a lot and they're always an underdog. So you'll get a 3.5 for Washington a lot, and they hit it. So they're a decent hitting team. And he goes 6. He gets 19 outs against Washington. He gets 18 outs against Detroit, and 21 outs against Cleveland. So today, his prop against the Cardinals is 17.5 outs recorded, which means will he or will he not finish the 6th inning? I like him to finish the 6th inning here. He's got good stats against the Cardinals, and he's a guy. He's extremely efficient. If you look at pitchers, generally when they finish 6 innings, they're in the 100 range of pitches thrown. If they finish 5 innings, they're usually in the 90s range or 80s. This guy, I mean, he's 6.1 innings complete against Washington in 90 pitches, 6 innings complete against Detroit in 85 pitches. That's almost unheard of. Extremely efficient pitcher, Paul Blackburn. The Cardinals have a decent lineup, nothing to write home about. I rank him 20th out of 30 teams. He's got a decent history against him. So Paul Blackburn over 17.5 outs is my next client play that I like. He's going to finish 6th here.
So I want to ask you about this because the last time you were on, you talked about Musgrave under 18.5 outs, and the line had moved to 17.5, and it landed right 18.
Yep.
Here we have Pfaadt 6.5. And then it moves to 5.5, and we're talking. Yes, we like under 6.5, under 5.5, not so much. How much are these 1/2 of us? 1 strikeout or 1 out. How much are they worth? Are they worth 20 cents in the market, 50 cents, $1? It seems to me like it literally is the difference between winning or losing by a half a run or a half an out or a half a strikeout.
It really is. I can't put a money value to a half out or a half of a strikeout. However, I can give advice to our listeners and our watchers regarding this. The difference between sports betting and playing blackjack is when you're playing blackjack, you have to play the hand that's dealt to you. But in sports betting, we can choose our hands. There's 30 MLB teams out there. There's generally 10 to 15 games every day. You don't have to bet every single game that's dealt to you. You can have the option to give the cards back to the dealer and take a new hand. So when that strikeout prop goes to 5.5, give the hand back to the dealer and bet something else is my advice. This is the great thing about sports betting is we can choose which games we bet instead of being forced to bet everything that's out there. A lot of people, like the people who are asking, hey, what do you think about Chicago against the Diamondbacks? Do you like the over-under and whatnot? If it's not a play, I don't like it, and I don't have an opinion on it, is basically what I answer everyone because, we have many games to choose from. You don't have to bet every game, and if you're betting as a fan, because I like the Yankees, I'm going to bet the Yankees game today, you're going to lose. So you got to bet the games you have an edge in. You have to bet the games you have value in. And it's not blackjack. You don't have to bet every game out there, which is the beauty of sports betting. It's why we're successful.
Tokyo Brandon, nice analogy. Great to have you with us, my friend. Elijah Bennett, we did get your question. Teddy, here it is. I have a question. My numbers all point to Ryan, one arm, and Pete Alonso to hit a home run. Both firing about 15 degrees and 90 plus miles an hour against piss poor opposition. Is that something you would consider? I
would never. I'm never asking a player to hit a home run today. It's not what I look for.
Yeah.
It's just not. I mean, that's not how I handicap MLB. So best of luck if you make the wager. It's not anything that I look at. It really isn't.
There we go.
I have a comment. Even the best batters in MLB will hit a home run 1 out of 17 at bats, which if you break it down, that's almost 5 games. 20% chance to hit a home run today, and that's Shohei Ohtani. That's one of the elite players in the game. So if you don't get plus 400 or better on a home run prop, never bet it. It's a sucker bet. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, even the best of the best in NHL have less than a 20% chance of hitting a home run today. So unless you're getting plus 400, plus 500, these home runs for plus 280, and it's just sucker bet. I mean, you might win it, but you're not going to win in the long term. And if you're doing this in the long term, if you're a serious sports bettor, that's how you lose money. If you want to have beer with your friend and watch the game and hope he hits a home run, God bless you.
Tokyo, I agree 1,000%, and I say the exact same thing about these NHL goal bets, sucker bets. They're just mathematically terrible bets. Elijah, thanks you. That was a great answer. Guys, Tokyo Brandon, number 1 in all sport profit in 2021, 2022, and this current year, 2024, number 1 in MLB the last 30 days. I don't know if you've gone or you're still here. If you're here, what do you got to promote?
Yeah, I got, like I said earlier, I got 4 MLB bets out today, and I just gave you 2 of them, but you can go grab my 4-play package to get the other 2 for $19. I'll have some KBO tonight as well. I'm the number 1 profit KBO capper at WagerTalk as well. So thanks for having me, guys, and let's win some money today.
There we go. Teddy covers. What a show, bro. We did not get to 100 likes, but I am doing the penalty box segment right now. So in a few hours, it'll be up, and that'll give you guys all of my NHL thoughts. Take us home, bro.
Sure. That's going to wrap it for what day is today? The Wednesday edition, the Tuesday edition, all these days are running together. That's going to wrap for the Wednesday edition of WagerTalk Today. Yeah, it was $2 Tuesday yesterday. Today is Wednesday. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend with the team here at WagerTalk. We'll do it again tomorrow, same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and tomorrow's show, enjoy the games and best of luck with all your wagers.